You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. Have you ever felt as though someone's presence drains the light out of your life? Perhaps it's a family member who never has anything positive to say, or a colleague whose manipulative tactics leave you questioning your worth. Toxic individuals come in many forms, and their behaviors often go unnoticed until the damage has already been done. They sap your energy, distort your self-image, and leave you with lingering feelings of doubt and frustration. The worst part, they can make you believe that you are the problem. But what if I told you that their control is an illusion? What if you could take back your peace of mind without sinking to their level or compromising your values? Through the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy, you can learn to handle even the most toxic of relationships with grace, resilience, and unshakable inner strength. Stoicism, a school of philosophy founded in ancient Greece, is not just an abstract set of ideas. It is a way of life that emphasizes emotional control, self-mastery, and focus on what truly matters. In the face of adversity, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca found a way to remain grounded. Their insights are as relevant today as they were 2 millennia ago, especially when dealing with people who challenge our inner peace. Imagine this. A friend constantly undermines your decisions, disguising their criticism as just trying to help. A relative guilt trips you into abandoning your boundaries to meet their endless demands. A partner turns every disagreement into a battlefield of blame, leaving you questioning your worth. These scenarios aren't rare. In fact, they're alarmingly common. The Stoics remind us, the problem is not what happens, but how we respond. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Toxic people may stir chaos, but your reaction determines whether they gain power over you. This principle isn't about ignoring bad behavior or tolerating mistreatment. It's about reclaiming control over your emotions and your life. When we face toxic individuals, our instinct is often to fight back or retreat. We lash out in anger or shut down completely, believing these are our only options. But Stoicism offers a third path, a path of awareness, boundaries, and purposeful action. This path allows us to protect our well-being without losing our integrity. For example, consider the Stoic practice of dichotomy of control. It teaches us to distinguish between what is within our power and what is not. You cannot control a toxic person's words or actions, but you can control how much access they have to your time, energy, and emotions. By focusing on your own responses, you take the reins of your life back from those who would seek to steer it for you. But why is this so hard to do? Because toxic people thrive on emotional triggers. They know which buttons to push to get a reaction. They make you question your boundaries, doubt your decisions, and second-guess your worth. The Stoics, however, understood that self-awareness is the antidote to manipulation. When you are clear on your values and grounded in your sense of self, no one can take that power away from you. This video is not about encouraging passivity or turning the other cheek to abuse. Instead, it's a call to action to protect your peace with wisdom and strength. It's about equipping yourself with practical strategies rooted in Stoic principles, enabling you to navigate toxic relationships with clarity and resolve. So, how do we begin this journey? First, by understanding that toxic people are not your responsibility to fix. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Your role is not to save others from their harmful patterns. It is to live authentically and protect your mental and emotional space. When you stop trying to change the unchangeable, you free yourself to focus on what truly matters, your own growth and happiness. Through this video, we will explore 13 actionable strategies to handle toxic individuals effectively. Each method draws from the wisdom of Stoic philosophy, blending ancient insight with modern practicality. These aren't quick fixes or superficial tactics. They're tools for cultivating inner resilience and creating boundaries that empower you to live a peaceful, purpose-driven life. As we delve into these techniques, remember that the goal is not to win against toxic people. Instead, it's about preserving your well-being, standing firm in your values, and refusing to let others dictate your sense of worth. Whether it's learning to say no with confidence, practicing emotional detachment, or walking away when necessary, each step will bring you closer to a life of freedom and self-respect. To set the stage, I leave you with a question. What would your life look like if you stopped letting toxic people dictate your emotions and decisions? Take a moment to reflect on this. Picture a version of yourself unburdened by their negativity, fully grounded in your own strength and clarity. That version of you exists. It's simply waiting for you to take the first step. Now, let's embark on this journey together and reclaim the peace of mind you deserve. 1. Identify toxic behavior. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. Every day we navigate a world filled with connections, some uplifting, others draining. Toxic people are not always the villains we imagine in fiction. They're often the ones we encounter regularly, at work, at home, or even among friends. They may not realize the damage they cause, but their behaviors can seep into your life like a slow poison, leaving you exhausted, anxious, and doubting yourself. Imagine this. A colleague who constantly undermines your contributions in meetings with subtle remarks like, "I think we all know who the real expert here is," or a family member who perpetually shifts the blame onto you, saying things like, "If you hadn't done that, everything would have been fine." At first, these interactions may seem harmless or coincidental, but over time, their cumulative weight begins to distort how you see yourself. You start questioning your decisions, suppressing your voice, and shrinking your presence, all to avoid their criticism or manipulation. The first step in handling toxic people, according to Stoic philosophy, is clarity, recognizing their behavior for what it is. Toxicity often thrives in ambiguity. The more we rationalize or justify someone's actions, the deeper we sink into their web. Marcus Aurelius teaches us the importance of seeing things as they truly are, without emotional distortion. "If you are distressed by anything external," he wrote, "the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke." To apply this principle, take a step back and observe. Pay attention to patterns in their words and actions. Do they often belittle you under the guise of joking? Are they quick to take credit for your successes, but shift the blame for failures? Do they repeatedly make you feel guilty, even when you've done nothing wrong? These are hallmarks of toxic behavior, and recognizing them is the first victory. But recognition alone is not enough. It's easy to label someone as toxic and move on, but the Stoics challenge us to dig deeper. Epictetus urged, "First, learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak." This wisdom reminds us to confront our own interpretations and biases. Are we truly seeing their behavior clearly, or are we letting our emotional reactions cloud our judgment? By grounding ourselves in rationality, we can better understand the dynamics at play and prepare to respond constructively. Here's a practical exercise. Keep a journal of interactions with the person you suspect may be toxic. Note down specific incidents, how they made you feel, and whether those feelings were justified upon reflection. Over time, patterns will emerge, helping you identify whether their behavior is genuinely harmful or if it's a misunderstanding you can address. 2. Understand it's not about you. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Epictetus. Toxic individuals are masters of projection. Their criticism, manipulation, or emotional outbursts are rarely about you. They are a reflection of their inner struggles. Yet, their behavior often makes you feel as though you're the one at fault. They use blame as a weapon, turning every disagreement into a trial where you are perpetually the defendant. Over time, this dynamic can erode your self-esteem and leave you trapped in a cycle of self-doubt. The Stoics remind us of an essential truth. Your worth is intrinsic and cannot be defined by others. Marcus Aurelius advises, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." This affirmation encourages us to ground our sense of self in gratitude and self-awareness, not in the fleeting opinions of others. To navigate toxic relationships, it's crucial to internalize the idea that their behavior is not about you. When someone lashes out, manipulates, or blames you, it often stems from their own insecurities, fears, or unresolved pain. Recognizing this can free you from the trap of taking their actions personally. As Epictetus reminds us, other people's views and troubles can be seen as theirs, not yours, unless you let them. Here's an analogy. Imagine someone hands you a heavy bag and insists you carry it. At first, you might take it out of politeness or obligation, but as the weight starts to hurt your back and strain your arms, you realize that this burden was never yours to bear. The same applies to toxic behavior. It's a burden they are trying to place on you, but you have the power to refuse. When you encounter a toxic person trying to provoke guilt or blame, pause and remind yourself, this is not mine to carry. By reframing the situation, you can respond with detachment and composure. Instead of engaging in their emotional games, you maintain control over your reactions. For example, if someone accuses you of being selfish for setting a boundary, don't rush to defend yourself. Instead, respond calmly. I'm sorry you feel that way, but I made this decision because it's what I need. This approach acknowledges their feelings without accepting their narrative. The Stoic concept of dichotomy of control is particularly useful here. You cannot control what others say or do, but you can control how much power you give their words. When someone tries to make you feel small, remember, their perception of you does not define you. Your character and actions are what truly matter, not their opinion. A helpful exercise is to practice affirmations that reinforce your sense of self. Each morning, remind yourself, I am worthy, regardless of how others treat me. I will not let someone else's turmoil disturb my peace. I am responsible for my actions, not their reactions. These affirmations act as mental armor, shielding you from the emotional darts toxic individuals often throw. Over time, this practice will strengthen your resilience and help you maintain perspective, even in the face of hostility. Question for reflection. How often do you take responsibility for someone else's behavior or feelings, and how might letting go of that burden change your perspective? Recognizing toxic behavior and understanding that it's not about you are the foundation for reclaiming your peace. These lessons are not merely about managing relationships, they're about mastering yourself. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. So, what will you choose to think about today? Will you allow someone else's chaos to dictate your inner world? Or will you stand firm in the tranquility of your own strength? 3. Focus on what you can control. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. Life is unpredictable. Toxic individuals amplify that chaos, using their words and actions to push us into emotional turmoil. They disrupt our peace with manipulative tactics, leaving us feeling powerless. The good news, powerlessness is an illusion. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, reminds us that while we may not control external events or the behaviors of others, we have full authority over our minds. The key to reclaiming peace is focusing on what lies within our control. Imagine someone at work who constantly criticizes your efforts. No matter how much effort you put into your projects, they find a way to belittle your contributions. Their words sting, and you begin to question your capabilities. In such moments, the natural reaction is to fight back, defend yourself, or allow their negativity to consume you. But Stoicism offers a different path: detachment from the uncontrollable. Epictetus said, "It is not the things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them." The colleagues' comments aren't inherently harmful, it's our interpretation of their words that gives them power. Instead of focusing on their behavior, redirect your energy toward your response. By anchoring yourself in your values and focusing on what you can control, your effort, your professionalism, your integrity, you remove their ability to dictate your emotions. This principle isn't about passivity, it's about empowerment. When you shift your focus from external chaos to internal clarity, you reclaim your agency. Here's a practical way to apply this. Whenever you feel overwhelmed by someone's actions, pause and ask yourself, what part of this situation is within my control? Often, you'll find that your emotions, thoughts, and actions are all within your sphere of influence, while their behavior is not. For example, if someone criticizes you unjustly, instead of reacting defensively, respond with composure. Acknowledge their feedback if it's valid. Ignore it if it's baseless. Focus on continuing to perform to the best of your ability. By doing this, you embody the Stoic ideal of ataraxia, a state of unshakable tranquility. Your peace no longer hinges on the opinions of others, but on your unwavering commitment to your values. How much energy do you spend trying to control the actions or opinions of others, and how would your life change if you redirected that energy toward improving yourself? Four, set clear boundaries. Learn to be indifferent to what makes no difference. Marcus Aurelius. Toxic. People thrive on blurred lines. They invade your time, drain your energy, and manipulate your emotions because you haven't made your boundaries clear. Or worse, you've allowed them to cross those boundaries repeatedly. Establishing and maintaining clear boundaries is not selfish. It's essential for protecting your well-being and living with integrity. Think of boundaries as the guardrails of your life. Without them, you risk veering off course, overwhelmed by the demands and negativity of others. Marcus Aurelius reminds us to focus on what truly matters. In the context of toxic relationships, this means valuing your peace and mental health over the fear of offending or disappointing someone. But how do you set effective boundaries with people who test them at every turn? The first step is recognizing your right to say no. Toxic individuals often exploit our discomfort with rejection, pushing us to agree to things we don't want to do. They rely on guilt, manipulation, or the fear of conflict to bypass our limits. Stoicism teaches us to detach from these emotional triggers and prioritize reason over impulse. Epictetus advised, know first who you are and then adorn yourself accordingly. This wisdom underscores the importance of self-awareness in boundary setting. When you're clear about your values and needs, you're better equipped to articulate your limits with confidence and calm. For example, if someone frequently interrupts your personal time, say, I value our relationship, but I also need time to recharge. Can we talk during these hours instead? If a colleague offloads their work onto you, respond with, I'm happy to help within reason, but I also have my responsibilities to manage. Boundaries aren't about pushing people away, they're about defining the terms of healthy interaction. They create space for mutual respect and understanding. However, enforcing boundaries with toxic individuals often requires persistence. They may test your resolve, attempt to guilt you into compliance, or accuse you of being unkind. In these moments, remember Marcus Aurelius's advice. Do not be disturbed by the opinions of others. They are theirs, not yours. Standing firm in your boundaries is an act of self-respect, not selfishness. A critical part of boundary setting is follow-through. If you tell someone you won't tolerate a behavior, be prepared to act if they disregard your limit. This might mean reducing contact, limiting the scope of your interactions, or, in extreme cases, severing the relationship entirely. The Stoics remind us that letting go is sometimes necessary for preserving inner peace. Seneca wrote, associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve. Choose relationships that uplift you, not ones that diminish your spirit. Here's a practical exercise. Take some time to reflect on where your boundaries might need reinforcement. Write down areas of your life where you feel drained, overwhelmed, or disrespected. For each area, define one boundary you can implement immediately. Practice communicating this boundary clearly and calmly, without over-explaining or apologizing. Over time, you'll find that maintaining boundaries becomes second nature, and toxic individuals lose their grip on your emotional and mental space. Where in your life could stronger boundaries help you reclaim your time, energy, and peace of mind? When dealing with toxic people, the path to freedom begins within. By focusing on what you can control and establishing firm boundaries, you take the first steps toward reclaiming your peace and power. As Marcus Aurelius observed, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. So, what will you choose to focus on today? The chaos of others or the tranquility within yourself? 5. Avoid unnecessary conflicts. How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? Marcus Aurelius. Conflict with toxic individuals often feels inevitable. They provoke, push boundaries, and twist your words, luring you into arguments that drain your energy and peace of mind. But, as the Stoics teach, not every battle is worth fighting. In fact, some battles are won simply by refusing to engage. Imagine a co-worker who always finds a way to undermine you in meetings. They interrupt, dismiss your ideas, or subtly mock your contributions. Every instinct in you wants to fire back, to defend your worth and prove them wrong. But consider this: what is the true cost of engaging? Anger, frustration, and hours of replaying the exchange in your mind. Even if you win the argument, what do you gain? More likely than not, the conflict only escalates, leaving you more entangled in their negativity. Marcus Aurelius understood this dynamic deeply. He cautioned against letting anger dictate our actions, reminding us that the fallout of our emotions often causes more harm than the initial offense. Anger, while momentarily empowering, clouds our judgment and ties us to the very people we're trying to distance ourselves from. Epictetus offered a similar perspective. When someone is properly grounded in life, they shouldn't have to look outside themselves for approval. By refusing to engage in unnecessary conflict, you're not conceding defeat. You're reclaiming your focus and peace. You're choosing to ground yourself in what truly matters rather than being swayed by the noise of others. So, how can we avoid these unnecessary battles without feeling like we're being walked over? The answer lies in reframing the situation. When faced with provocation, pause and ask yourself, what is my goal in this interaction? If your goal is to protect your energy, preserve your reputation, or maintain your inner calm, walking away may be the most strategic choice. This doesn't mean you ignore serious issues or allow yourself to be mistreated. Instead, it's about choosing your battles wisely. Save your energy for discussions that align with your values and contribute to meaningful outcomes. For instance, if your coworker interrupts you, respond calmly, "I'd like to finish my thought and then we can hear your perspective." This approach asserts your boundary without escalating the situation. Practice what the Stoics call apatheia, a state of emotional invulnerability. By detaching from the need to win every argument, you free yourself from the toxic grip of others' provocations. Instead, you maintain your focus on what truly matters: your goals, your peace, and your growth. How often do you engage in arguments that don't serve your higher purpose? And how might stepping back bring you greater peace? 6. Stop justifying yourself. Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. Epictetus: toxic people thrive on putting you on the defensive. Their accusations, whether subtle or overt, are designed to force you into a position of self-justification. Before you know it, you're trapped in a cycle of explaining your actions, defending your choices, and trying to prove your worth. This constant need to explain yourself is not only exhausting, but also unnecessary. Imagine this scenario. A friend accuses you of being selfish because you declined an invitation to an event. You spend hours crafting a response, listing all the valid reasons why you couldn't attend, and apologizing for their disappointment. But does this actually resolve the situation? Or does it embolden them to question your decisions again in the future? Epictetus reminds us that we are not obligated to justify our lives to others. If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, "He was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned only these." This wry wisdom underscores an important truth. Our actions and intentions are ours to own, not for others to validate. When you find yourself on the defensive, pause and ask, why am I explaining myself? Often, the need to justify comes from a fear of rejection, misunderstanding, or conflict. But the Stoics remind us that true self-assurance comes from within. You don't need anyone else's approval to live in alignment with your values. This doesn't mean dismissing others' feelings or refusing to communicate. It means standing firm in your decisions without feeling compelled to over-explain. For example, if someone questions your boundaries, simply say, "This is what works best for me." If they persist, calmly reiterate, "I've made my decision and I appreciate your understanding." The beauty of this approach lies in its simplicity. By refusing to engage in unnecessary explanations, you demonstrate confidence and clarity. Toxic individuals often rely on your need to explain yourself as a way to maintain control. When you deny them that power, you reclaim your autonomy. Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of aligning actions with values. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. Let your actions speak louder than your words. Instead of explaining your philosophy, live it. When you make decisions grounded in integrity, you don't need to justify them to anyone. Here's an exercise to build this habit. The next time someone challenges you, resist the urge to immediately explain yourself. Take a deep breath, offer a concise response, and let your decision stand. Notice how this shift in energy empowers you and diffuses their attempts to undermine you. What would change in your relationships if you stopped feeling the need to explain or defend your decisions? Life is too short to be consumed by petty arguments and endless explanations. By choosing your battles and standing firm in your decisions, you free yourself from the toxic cycles that drain your energy and peace. As Marcus Aurelius wisely observed, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. So ask yourself, how can you embody this strength today and take one step closer to the life of clarity and purpose you deserve? 7. Practice the skill of saying no. Say to yourself in the early morning, I shall meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, unsocial. Marcus Aurelius. In a world that demands so much of us, the ability to say no is an act of courage. It's a declaration that your time, energy, and priorities are valuable. Toxic people, however, see boundaries as barriers they must dismantle. They frame their needs as urgent, their demands as non-negotiable, leaving you feeling guilty for prioritizing yourself. But, as Marcus Aurelius observed, we must prepare ourselves to face such individuals and stand firm. Think about how often you've said yes when you really wanted to say no. Perhaps it was agreeing to a task at work you didn't have time for, or accommodating a friend's unreasonable request to avoid conflict. In the moment, saying yes seems like the path of least resistance. But over time, these small concessions pile up, leaving you resentful and drained. The Stoics teach us that the key to mastering no is self-awareness. Epictetus advises, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This means being clear about your values, goals, and limitations. When you know what matters most to you, saying no becomes not a rejection, but an affirmation of what truly deserves your attention. Start by rethinking what no means. It's not a rejection of the person asking, it's a protection of your own priorities. For example, when a colleague asks for help on a project you can't take on, instead of feeling guilty, you can say, I'd love to help, but I need to focus on my current responsibilities. If a friend pressures you to join an event you're not comfortable with, calmly respond, I'm going to pass this time, but thank you for thinking of me. Notice how these responses are firm yet respectful. They don't leave room for negotiation, and they reflect a clear understanding of your limits. Toxic people may try to push back, but each time you stand your ground, you reinforce your autonomy. Here's an exercise. Practice saying no to small, low-stakes requests. Over time, this habit will build your confidence for bigger, more challenging situations. Each time you choose yourself over unnecessary obligations, you strengthen your inner resilience and free up energy for what truly matters. What areas of your life would improve if you felt empowered to say no more often? 8. Learn to ignore. If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, by which no one was ever truly harmed. Marcus Aurelius. Toxic. People thrive on your attention, whether it's their cutting remarks, passive-aggressive comments, or attempts to provoke a reaction. Their goal is to pull you into their drama. But the Stoics remind us that not every insult or slight demands a response. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is ignore them. Marcus Aurelius's words remind us that the pursuit of truth and self-mastery is far more valuable than engaging in petty conflicts. When someone's behavior doesn't align with your values or goals, why let it consume your energy? Epictetus echoed this sentiment. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In other words, let them think what they will. It's not your job to correct every misconception or respond to every jab. Here's a real-world example. Suppose a coworker makes a sarcastic remark about your work. Your first instinct might be to fire back, defending yourself or pointing out their own shortcomings. But what would that accomplish? Instead, imagine responding with silence or a neutral comment like, I appreciate your perspective. By refusing to engage, you deny them the satisfaction of dragging you into their negativity. The Stoic practice of apatheia, emotional invulnerability, can help here. It doesn't mean suppressing your emotions, it means cultivating the strength to remain unaffected by trivial provocations. To do this, remind yourself that their behavior says more about them than it does about you. Your focus should remain on your growth, not their opinions. Practical tip: when faced with a toxic comment or behavior, take a deep breath and pause before reacting. Ask yourself, does this deserve my energy? Most of the time, the answer will be no. Choose silence or a measured response and redirect your focus to something more meaningful. How much peace could you reclaim if you stopped engaging with unnecessary drama? 9. Focus on your self-worth. Dwell on the beauty of life, watch the stars, and see yourself running with them. Marcus Aurelius. At the core of Stoic philosophy lies a profound truth. Your worth is intrinsic. Toxic people often try to make you doubt this, using criticism, manipulation, or comparison to chip away at your confidence. But, as Marcus Aurelius reminds us, we are part of something far greater than petty judgments. Our value comes from within, not from the fleeting opinions of others. Consider the times you've allowed someone's words or actions to make you feel small. Perhaps they dismissed your ideas, ignored your efforts, or criticized your choices. In those moments, it's easy to internalize their negativity, questioning your abilities and worth. But the Stoics challenge us to see beyond these external judgments. Epictetus teaches, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When someone tries to undermine you, their actions don't define your value, your response does. Instead of seeking validation from others, turn inward and reaffirm your own worth. This doesn't mean ignoring constructive feedback, but it does mean filtering out opinions that don't align with your truth. Here's a practical exercise. Each morning, spend 5 minutes reflecting on your strengths and accomplishments. Write down 3 things you're proud of, big or small. This habit helps anchor your self-worth in your own perspective, rather than in the judgments of others. Over time, it creates a mental foundation of confidence that's unshaken by external criticism. For instance, if a toxic person tries to diminish your achievements, remind yourself of your intrinsic value. Respond with quiet confidence. I appreciate your feedback, but I'm proud of the progress I've made. This not only protects your self-esteem, but also signals to them that their negativity won't control you. Marcus Aurelius's meditation on the stars serves as a powerful reminder to see yourself as part of the vast, beautiful universe. Your worth isn't tied to anyone else's approval. It's inherent in your very existence. Embrace this truth and toxic people will lose their ability to diminish you. What would it feel like to ground your self-worth in your own values, free from the opinions of others? Saying no, ignoring unnecessary drama, and reaffirming your worth are acts of self-preservation and empowerment. The Stoics knew that peace doesn't come from external validation. It comes from aligning your actions with your values and protecting your inner world. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. So, how will you protect your peace and honor your worth today? 10. Build a supportive network. Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve. Seneca. Life is not meant to be navigated alone, and this truth becomes even more critical when dealing with toxic individuals. Toxic relationships drain us, isolate us, and leave us questioning our sense of worth. Yet, there's a powerful antidote to this negativity. Surrounding yourself with a network of supportive, uplifting people who remind you of your value and help you stay grounded in your purpose. Seneca's words remind us that the company we keep shapes the lives we lead. Just as we're influenced by the toxic behavior of others, we can also be elevated by those who inspire us to be better. A strong network acts as a buffer, shielding us from the emotional manipulation of toxic individuals and helping us regain clarity when we're overwhelmed. Consider the people in your life who consistently bring out the best in you. These are the friends who listen without judgment, the family members who encourage your dreams, and the mentors who challenge you to grow. These connections don't demand from you, they nourish you. They serve as mirrors, reflecting your strengths and reminding you of the values you stand for. Building a network of support begins with intentionality. Reflect on your current relationships. Which connections leave you feeling uplifted and empowered? Which ones leave you feeling drained and uncertain? By identifying the people who enrich your life, you can prioritize those relationships and invest more time in them. Similarly, by recognizing the connections that sap your energy, you can establish boundaries to protect your peace. Here's a practical step. Reach out to someone who uplifts you. Schedule a coffee date, a phone call, or even a quick message to express gratitude for their presence in your life. Strengthening these bonds creates a reservoir of emotional resilience you can draw on when facing challenges. Remember, a network of support isn't just about receiving, it's also about giving. As Seneca advised, welcome those whom you can improve. By being a source of positivity and encouragement for others, you create a cycle of mutual growth and trust. Toxic people may try to isolate you, but a strong, supportive community makes it harder for their negativity to take root. Who in your life consistently uplifts and supports you, and how can you deepen those connections today? 11th, practice patience. No great thing is created suddenly any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen. Epictetus. Dealing with toxic individuals requires more than strategy. It requires patience, a deep, enduring patience with yourself, the process, and even the person causing you harm. Toxic relationships are complex, layered with years of patterns and emotions. Changing them, or extracting yourself from them, takes time, and the Stoics remind us to embrace this journey with calm and resolve. Epictetus's metaphor of the fig tree illustrates this beautifully. Just as fruit requires seasons to ripen, personal growth and healthier relationships require persistence and patience. Expecting instant results, whether it's resolving a conflict or distancing yourself from a toxic relationship, only leads to frustration. But by focusing on steady, incremental progress, you create lasting change. Let's say you're in a situation where a toxic family member frequently undermines you. Perhaps you've already set boundaries, but they continue to test them. It's tempting to throw up your hands in despair or react impulsively, but the Stoics would encourage you to remain steadfast. Your patience is not weakness, it's strength under control. Patience also involves managing your expectations. As Marcus Aurelius observed, you have power over your mind, not outside events. You can't force a toxic person to change, but you can control how you respond to their behavior. Each time you choose calm over anger, reflection over impulsivity, you strengthen your own character. A helpful exercise in cultivating patience is journaling. At the end of each day, reflect on the progress you've made, no matter how small. Did you manage to stay calm during a tense interaction? Did you assert a boundary, even if it wasn't fully respected? These small wins add up, reinforcing your resilience and reminding you that progress is being made, even if it's not immediately visible. Another aspect of patience is forgiving yourself when things don't go as planned. Toxic relationships are draining, and there will be days when your energy falters or your emotions get the better of you. That's okay. The Stoics teach us that setbacks are part of growth. What matters is that you keep moving forward, returning to your principles and recommitting to your path. Patience isn't about tolerating abuse or accepting mistreatment indefinitely. It's about allowing space for the gradual work of change, whether that means improving the relationship or finding the strength to walk away. As Epictetus reminds us, great things take time, but they are always worth the effort. How might practicing patience with yourself and others transform the way you navigate toxic relationships? Building a network of supportive relationships and practicing patience are not quick fixes. They are lifelong commitments to your well-being and growth. The Stoics understood that the greatest battles are often internal, requiring us to balance action with reflection, urgency with calm. As Seneca observed, true happiness is to is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. So ask yourself, how can you invest in meaningful connections and cultivate patience to create a life of peace and purpose? 12. Walk away when necessary. If a person is harming you, why should you persist in keeping company with them? You would not let them poison your body. Why let them poison your mind? Epictetus. There comes a moment in every toxic relationship when the question must be asked, is this worth it? The Stoics, with their emphasis on reason and clarity, would urge you to evaluate such relationships without sentimentality or fear. As Epictetus reminds us, we would never willingly ingest poison, so why tolerate the slow, corrosive effects of someone who drains your energy and undermines your well-being? Walking away is often seen as a last resort, but in reality, it can be the most courageous and compassionate choice you make, not just for yourself, but for the other person as well. Toxic relationships thrive on dysfunction, creating cycles of pain and conflict that serve neither party. By stepping away, you break the cycle and create space for growth, healing, and peace. But leaving isn't easy. It's tangled with guilt, fear of loneliness, or the hope that things might one day improve. Marcus Aurelius acknowledged these struggles, writing, "Do not let the opinions of others or fear of the future deter you from doing what is right." Leaving isn't about giving up. It's about choosing to honor your values and protect your mental health. The Stoics teach us to weigh decisions against our ultimate purpose, living a virtuous and meaningful life. Ask yourself, does this relationship align with who you strive to be? Does it nurture your growth, or does it stifle it? If the answer is the latter, it may be time to let go. Here's how you can approach this process. Reflect with clarity. Journaling can help untangle your emotions and fears, allowing you to see the situation objectively. Write about what you're experiencing and what you hope to gain by staying versus leaving. Communicate firmly. If possible, have an honest conversation with the person involved. Express your decision with kindness, but without ambiguity. For example, I value the time we've spent together, but I need to step back to focus on my well-being. Seek support. Surround yourself with trusted friends, family, or mentors who can provide guidance and reassurance. Walking away is easier when you have a network of care. Leaving doesn't always mean a dramatic goodbye. Sometimes it's about creating emotional distance, reducing contact, or setting firmer boundaries. Whether it's a gradual withdrawal or a definitive break, the key is to act with intention and self-respect. What toxic relationship in your life might you need to walk away from? And how could that choice create space for peace and growth? 13. Prioritize your mental health. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. At the heart of Stoicism lies a profound truth. Your mind is your sanctuary. No matter the chaos outside, your thoughts, values, and inner peace are yours to protect. Toxic people, with their manipulation and negativity, threaten this sanctuary. But the Stoics teach us that the most important relationship you have is the one with yourself. Preserving your mental health isn't selfish, it's essential. In today's fast-paced world, where distractions and pressures abound, it's easy to neglect your inner world. Toxic relationships amplify this neglect, pulling you away from self-care and pushing you toward constant emotional exhaustion. Marcus Aurelius's words are a powerful reminder that happiness begins within. By cultivating a healthy mental state, you create a foundation for resilience and joy, no matter the external circumstances. How do you prioritize your mental health in the face of toxicity? The Stoics offer several practices. Daily reflection. At the end of each day, take a moment to assess your thoughts and emotions. Did you allow someone else's negativity to cloud your mind? What could you do differently tomorrow? This practice, central to Marcus Aurelius's meditations, strengthens self-awareness and helps you reset. Gratitude journaling. Focus on the good in your life. Toxic relationships often obscure the positive, leaving you fixated on what's wrong. By listing 3 things you're grateful for each day, you shift your mindset from scarcity to abundance. Mindful detachment. Epictetus advises, detach yourself from the things that do not serve you. This doesn't mean ignoring problems, but it does mean refusing to dwell on what you can't control. Letting go of unproductive worries frees your mind for more meaningful pursuits. Physical health and mental health are interconnected, so don't neglect your body. Regular exercise, healthy eating, and adequate sleep are acts of self-respect, that fortify your resilience against toxicity. A strong body supports a strong mind. Perhaps most importantly, remember that self-care is not a luxury. It's a necessity. Toxic people may try to frame your efforts as selfish or unkind, but the Stoics would argue otherwise. As Seneca wrote, "You must live for yourself, not for the expectations of others." Caring for your mental health equips you to face life's challenges with clarity and strength, benefiting not just yourself, but everyone around you. How can you better prioritize your mental health today, and what changes might that bring to your relationships and overall well-being? Rising above toxicity requires strength, clarity, and self-compassion. Walking away and prioritizing your mental health are not acts of retreat. They are acts of empowerment. As Marcus Aurelius wisely observed, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. So, I leave you with this question. What steps can you take today to reclaim your inner peace and align your life with the values that matter most to you? You don't have to control your thoughts. You just have to stop letting them control you. Epictetus, toxic relationships can feel like an inescapable storm, constant, overwhelming, and exhausting. But the wisdom of Stoicism teaches us a vital truth. You are not powerless. The chaos outside cannot define the peace within unless you allow it. You don't have to endure the negativity of others, nor do you have to sacrifice your well-being for their approval. Instead, you can choose a path of strength, clarity, and freedom. The Stoics remind us that our greatest power lies in how we respond to life's challenges. Toxic people may try to manipulate, blame, or belittle you, but they cannot dictate your inner world unless you give them that power. Marcus Aurelius, facing the immense pressures of being emperor, found solace in this understanding. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. When you take control of your mind, set firm boundaries, and prioritize your well-being, you reclaim your freedom. Freedom from doubt, fear, and the toxic influence of others. This journey isn't about isolating yourself or rejecting relationships altogether. It's about fostering connections that uplift you and align with your values. It's about standing firm in your self-worth, even when others try to shake it. And most importantly, it's about recognizing that you deserve peace, not as a reward, but as your natural state. As you leave this video, I invite you to take the first step in applying what you've learned. Reflect on the strategies we've discussed, from setting boundaries to focusing on what you can control, from building supportive networks to walking away when necessary. These aren't just abstract ideas, they are practical tools designed to empower you to live a life of integrity and calm, no matter the storms you face. Now, it's your turn to share. What toxic situations or relationships have you faced, and how have you navigated them? Your story could inspire someone else to find the courage to take their first step toward freedom. Share your experiences in the comments below. We're here to learn and grow together. If you try one of these methods, come back and let us know how it worked for you. Did setting a boundary change the dynamics of a difficult relationship? Did journaling help you find clarity? Your insights could help someone else take control of their life. If this message resonated with you, help us spread it further. Hit the like button, share this video with someone who might need it, and subscribe to our channel for more wisdom rooted in the timeless philosophy of Stoicism. Together, we can create a ripple effect of positivity, helping more people reclaim their inner peace and freedom. As you move forward, remember this: you are stronger than you think, braver than you feel, and more resilient than you know. The power to change your life doesn't lie in controlling others, it lies in mastering yourself. So, I leave you with this question. What will you choose today to reclaim your peace and honor the freedom you deserve?